Have you ever really thought about the journey your food takes to get to your plate? It's an incredible story, you know? It connects the choices we make every single day to huge global economies, our own local communities, and, yeah, the health of the entire planet. So let's dive into this powerful connection between agriculture and society. It all really boils down to this one big question. How much does what we want to eat actually change what farmers grow? And the answer? Well, as we're about to see, it's a lot. The choices you and I make in the grocery store send shockwaves that are felt all across the globe. Okay, let's just take sushi for an example. I mean, think about it. A few decades ago, sushi was a pretty niche thing in a lot of places. But then, our tastes changed. Globalization happened, we got new tech for fishing and shipping, and boom, it just blew up. This created a massive, worldwide demand for certain kinds of fish, for specific types of rice, totally rewriting the rules for entire industries just to keep up. It's really the perfect example of how our appetites can literally redraw the map. So, this power that we have as consumers, it's kicked off some huge trends. We're not just asking what's for dinner anymore. Now, more and more, we're asking, well, how was this made? And wait, where did this even come from? Let's take a look at how those values are changing pretty much everything. First on the list, the whole organic food movement. This is a direct result of more and more people wanting food that just feels more natural, less processed. The basic idea couldn't be simpler. It's farming without all the synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. It started out kind of small, but now it's a massive market, especially in developed countries.
But here's the thing, and this is what's really interesting. Going organic isn't some magic wand that fixes everything. On the one hand, the benefits are awesome. Less pollution for sure, and because it takes more hands-on work, it can actually create more jobs. But, on the flip side, there are drawbacks. Organic farming often needs more land to grow the same amount of food, and yeah, all that extra labor usually means higher prices for us at the checkout.
Right alongside the organic trend, you've got this eat local movement. And this is all about shrinking the distance between the farm and your kitchen. The whole idea here is to support your local farmers, boost the community's economy, and drastically cut down on the pollution that comes from shipping food thousands and thousands of miles. It's exactly why farmers markets are making such a huge comeback. And some folks are taking Eat Local to a whole new level with something called Community-Supported Agriculture, or CSAs. This is such a cool model. You basically become a shareholder in a local farm. You pay some money up front for a share, which gives the farmer some real financial security, and then in return, you get a box of super fresh seasonal stuff every week. It creates this amazing direct link between the person growing the food and the person eating it. Okay, let's zoom out a bit and look at this globally. That's where fair trade comes in. It kind of shifts our focus from environmental values to social and ethical ones. It's all about tackling the fact that a lot of farmers in developing countries just don't get a fair price for things like coffee or chocolate. The fair trade label tries to fix that, making sure producers get paid a fair wage, which helps fight poverty. So you've got all these amazing trends: organic, local, fair trade. But, and this is a big but, they're really only a thing in places where people have the luxury of choice. So now, we've got to pivot and look at a much tougher, much bigger picture: the deep inequality that's just woven into our global food system. And this right here gets to the heart of the problem. In some countries, perfectly good farmland isn't being used to grow food for the people who live there. Instead, it's being used for what are called luxury crops. We're talking coffee, tobacco, even flowers, stuff that's grown just for profit and export. And while that's great for some businesses, it can actually make hunger worse for the local population. And this brings us to a really important idea: food security versus food insecurity. Food security is the goal, right? It's a world where every single person has reliable access to enough food to live a healthy, active life. Food insecurity is the devastating opposite. It's the constant stress and fear of not knowing where your next meal is going to come from. Okay, I really want you to take a second and just look at this map. These aren't percentages, right? These are the actual number of people, in millions. Just look at the scale of it across Africa, across South Asia. We are talking about hundreds of millions of people facing food insecurity. I mean, the scale is it's staggering. Okay, so now let's flip the script a little and look at the same problem, but from a different angle. That last map showed us the raw numbers. This map shows us the percentage of the population in each country facing severe food insecurity. This really highlights where the crisis is most concentrated. In those darkest red spots, a huge chunk of the entire country is dealing with what you and I would call hunger. So the billion-dollar question is why? Why is this happening? Well, it's not just one thing. It's this messy, tangled web of problems. It could be that distribution systems have broken down. It could be political instability, the awful effects of extreme weather like droughts or floods, or even just losing precious farmland as our cities get bigger and bigger. Look, I know that's a lot to take in, and it sounds pretty bleak, but it is not hopeless. So for this last part, let's switch gears and talk about solutions. There are some incredible things happening, from the huge global level all the way down to our own neighborhoods to build a better food future. So, on the big global stage, the strategies are all connected. We're talking about pushing for sustainable agriculture that actually works with the environment, not against it. It means smarter foreign aid, way better access to education, and maybe one of the most powerful tools we have, empowering women. Let's really dig into that last point for a second, because the numbers here, wow, they're just mind-blowing. Right now, women make up 40% of the entire agricultural workforce on the planet. They are not on the sidelines of this issue. They are absolutely central to how the world eats. And get this, when you zoom in on just subsistence farming, that's the farming people do just to feed their own families, that number skyrockets to an unbelievable 70%. Empowering these women, giving them access to land, to loans, to education, it's one of the single most effective ways to fight hunger right at the source. Okay, let's bring this whole conversation right back to our own backyards. You don't have to be in a developing country to deal with food insecurity. This is where we run into the idea of a food desert, a community, and you find them in low-income city neighborhoods and rural areas where there just aren't any grocery stores or farmers markets selling fresh, healthy, affordable food. But here's the cool part. An amazing solution is literally sprouting up from inside these communities. It's called urban agriculture, and it's this fantastic idea of turning our cities into places that actually produce food. We're talking rooftop gardens, vertical farms in old warehouses, container gardening. It's all about using every little bit of space to grow fresh food right where people live. And if you want to get even more grassroots, you've got community gardens. It's one of those ideas that's so simple, it's brilliant. It's just neighbors coming together, working a shared piece of land. It's usually pretty low tech, but it is incredibly high impact. It doesn't just provide food, it provides a space for the community itself to grow. And the ripple effects from these local solutions, they're huge. Economically, they create jobs and help families save money on groceries. Socially, they get people eating healthier, and they act as outdoor classrooms for kids. Politically, they make community bonds stronger. And environmentally, they cut down on all those food miles and make our cities greener. It is literally a win-win-win-win. So, at the end of the day, the story of our food is, well, it's complicated, right? It stretches from global trade deals all the way down to a single garden plot in a neighborhood. It's a story filled with huge challenges and inequality, but it's also a story of incredible innovation and hope. And every choice we make, from what we buy at the store to what we might grow in a pot on our windowsill, is a part of that story. It's a story we're all a part of. So the only real question left is, what's your chapter going to look like?